I have the radio pulled out from the back, and it was pretty simple. It had only 2 screws, one that went here and one right here. And then you had to fiddle with pulling the AC/DC and the earphone jack out, bend the plastic a little bit, and then just kind of swing upwards. And once you did, then the tuning knob pulled out. Backside of the radio, as you see, looks really good. Have corrosion actually right there, so maybe not quite so good. So I'll have to double check all that and make sure we have all the traces are still intact. Have a little goo here. Volume control. Looks like it might be open air or accessible. I'm not sure. Haven't looked at it. I just opened this up, so you're seeing this with me. Nice big bar here for our AM antenna. And there's the really big schematic. Haven't yet tried to finagle with that to see if that'll break free. I hope it does. I sure would like to scan that. Well, I got it plucked off. Used the heat gun, put it on low setting, which I think was 100 degrees. Put the air displacement at a 3, and I kept it about 6-7 inches away. And spent the last 10 minutes or so slowly peeling this off with some tweezers. The adhesive is sticky. So now I need to figure out what to put it on to scan it without it sticking to my scanner. Maybe I'll just put it on a piece of paper, and when I'm done I could glue it or tape it back into the radio or something like that. When peeling stickers off, you want to be really careful, because when you do peel it off, some papers could end up with lines through them, peel marks. Luckily this one here has a plastic-like coating on top, so it did not have that. So when I scan it, it should be theoretically, well, I got one hard, looks like maybe one hard crease there. So theoretically scanning this, it should be just fine. How cool is that? I have this cleaned up. Looks really good. It really looked worse, and the reason why, there is adhesive here, and so that adhesive absorbed all the corrosion and made it look a lot worse than it is. So it definitely looks a lot better now. That stuff does a fantastic job. Here on the board, cleaned it up. We still have some discoloration here on the board, and I don't think there's anything I'm going to be able to do about that. Leads here on the pots are all corroded and rusted. These connections down here were also corroded, but I've got them cleaned up. Well, you know, the best that one could do anyway. The backside, the top of this cap, I did see some goo, but I think that there's a spot of glue that's holding it in. Yep, there was glue there. However, it really doesn't matter, as that is going to get swapped out anyway. You could probably see the glue right there. Hit the switch. This whole area I hit. So hopefully that neutralizes it and don't have any issues. I'm looking forward to getting these caps replaced, getting the radio aligned, and seeing how the radio performs. Oh, side note to self and whoever else is listening, I guess. I will go ahead and check these components down where the corrosion was, just to ensure that we are in value. And on the solder side, which is my next step, I will also hit with the soldering iron and make sure we have a good bite. We do have a few places here in the solder mask that are tarnished but did not go through. So I think what damage might have been is just superficial on this side. However, I could be wrong, because I see down here, I need to double check that, because that actually might go skin deep. So I'll come back and I'll check these areas that do have issues with the solder mask. I would surmise that it's working, that it's not eating all the way through, because the radio is working. But better safe than sorry. I'm here and it's there. I'm going through recapping this radio, and I came across a capacitor. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it on the circuit side here, but the thing, even though we got solder points, the thing is completely loose in socket. And where my finger's at, like I said, I don't think we could see it. I'll try to bump it in post. So it's this one right here. There you go. Just like a loose tooth. That's funny. That might cause a problem somewhere. I have the radio completely recapped now. Next thing I need to do, is go through the board and take some isopropyl alcohol and some Kim wipes and clean this all up. There's some gunk and flux on the board, so I want to clean that up. Before I do all of that, I do want to see how it works, how it sounds. Have it plugged into an external speaker. I've got it plugged into power. Radio's off. I have not cleaned any of the contacts yet. I'll do that after I clean the board down with Kim wipes. I got the power switch thrown. I'm not sure if I'm on AM or FM. Let's turn this on. That's a good thing so far. Nothing is blown. And let's see how this works. I'm going to say I'm on AM. And I guess it would help if I was to take my finger off of the coils. I was wondering what was happening there. Oh yeah, much better.
And a price match guarantee. DEAL or ProspersLLP.com. there a biblical DNA? 2.5 million.
People who participate in this
335 reps. Hashtag media will always cover. Llame ya, 1-800.
y en este mes.
I did not know she had done this.
Or do it. Welcome.
And at that point,
Are you down to that?
yeah, I didn't really.
Needed to release all of
Way, and that's in itself.
所以咧，有啲機構咧就研發出一套劇。
Well, it seems to work. Let me flip it over to FM. There's no antenna connected. And apparently don't like it when I touch components. Yeah. Definitely don't like me touching the board anywhere. There's nothing here on the board. So, that's very interesting. Board don't like to be touched. Well, that's enough of that. It works. Let me go ahead and clean the back side of the board. Hit everything with alcohol and clean up the controls, put it back in the radio. Once we get it back into the radio, I'll do an alignment on it and hopefully it'll improve a whole bunch. I have the board all cleaned up on the circuit side and foil side. Removed some old hardened glue and tried to clean up this gunk the best I could. I did, I think, pretty good at it. Went ahead and cleaned up the knobs and switches. And so now the next thing to do is hook it up to the signal generator and tweak and peak it. I have the unit plugged in. Let's go ahead and give it a quick test just to ensure nothing's shorted, nothing's blown up, nothing's changed since the last time I've tested it. So it's plugged in. I'm going to flip the big red safety switch. And let's go ahead and power it on. Let's go ahead and put this over, I guess, on AC. That's very nice. Have no static in the the volume, it sounds like we're on FM. Let's switch over to AM real quick. And since I don't have the tuner knob on, I can't change it. So let me go ahead and I forgot I need to clean the knob before I put it back on. Let me do that, and when I come back, we will set this up to tweak and peak. But the good thing is, it works. And didn't blow up. That's the important part, blown up. We're going to start out on AM, because that's where I have the signal generator set up from the last one, so we're going to do that. Signal generator is at a 455 hertz frequency. I don't know why I keep saying hertz, 455 kilohertz. Let's get started, shall we? I'm going to try to do this where my hand is not in your way. Now, if you remember from when we started this project, this radio is not necessarily a dog. It does fantastic for local and maybe a little bit above. Holy cow, look at that. Wow. That's your problem right there. But it wasn't a DX monster. Unbelievable. Wow. I just changed the setting on the millivolt meter up to the next level. We were on 1.5 volt setting. Nope, I lied. Yeah, and now we're on 3 volt setting. That looks to be about it. All we have left is the antenna trimmer. And I'm not sure which one of these is the actual trimmer itself. My screwdriver is chipped. The last radio I work on broke it. So getting into that fine stuff did not work. So let me grab this guy. Very impressive. Let me cycle through this one more time. I think that's it. I can tell by looking on the scope I do have some clipping, so I could probably turn the modulation down on the signal generator some more, but the test for me is done. Now we're going to unplug this and see what it sounds like. Not sure what's up with that. Like dead spots in there.
Or at petersondean.com.
Has been given to me. Therefore, go.
Like this does. And compare. That's right. Shop our competition.
Well,
Excelling.
I could tell you right off the bat I'm not hearing any improvement. There's something wrong with the oscillator, huh? You got me.
So yeah.
On the vehicle.
And
All right. I'm going to wrap the alignment up on FM, and for both AM and FM I'm going to make sure we're on frequency where the dial pointer needs to be, and I'll bring you back once I'm done. So far, not impressed with AM, but we'll see. Sitting here poking around, trying to understand what's happening. Why am I getting like a birdie or subcarrier, or that blanking out like I was? I thought maybe an issue in the oscillator, and my poking around with my stick did nothing. So I need to give you a bit of a warning right now. If you're wearing headphones, or you've got your volume up loud, or you're really sensitive high-pitching squeals, now's a good time to not. This probably cut through your head like a knife. So I'll try to keep this as brief as I can, and hopefully not too terribly loud, but for this next demonstration I cannot guarantee that. So just an FYI. So I put the radio station, the radio on a frequency where I was getting all that noise, and I'm sorry, you've heard that already. So I'm sitting here poking around with the capacitor. And so if I touch over here, you hear that radio station comes in. Now I know that by me touching it, I'm changing the capacitance of that, and so I'm going one way or the other for that air capacitor to change frequencies. I get that. But I've not seen one quite as sensitive. So, still poking around, unable to change things. If I grab this oscillator can, I could change it. Yeah, I understand that by wiggling it back and forth, I'm changing the values of the I almost said the copper rod, the iron that thing against the copper thing. Gosh, brain dead. You know what it is? It's about 8:30, and I've said this before. I should not do stuff like this after hours. My brain becomes even more mushier. Iron core against the copper coil windings. There we go. I knew one of us would think of it. So I get that part. This next part, though, is where you really want to pay attention, take heed for your hearing. We grab the heat gun. Yeah, some of you already know what's going to happen. I have the heat displacement at about a 2.5. I have the temperature set to 145 degrees. So I'm going to take this heat gun and go over this area, man. This area. And I just turn the volume up. So what do you think? Definitely a problem there. So I hit that can that you can't see. And that transistor. Nothing. So if I come back over here to the two resistors and the capacitor that you still can't see because I'm in your way. Here we go. Stand by. I think it's ramping up. So we have some bad components. Obvious. So I have to pull this all out and test those, see what's happening. Well, I don't have to pull it out. I could test them from up here, but I'll probably will need to pull this out to change all those. I don't know if I want to just snip them and solder them in place here. It is kind of a, you know, pain in the backside to pull this just to replace a few pieces. When I was cleaning all this up, the bottom half of the board I hit with the iron just to make sure we had good joints in there. And I did spot welding up in this area. I don't know where, just wherever. So I guess I got some real work to do now.